If you're anything like me, most of your friends are smaller than you. They're your going out group, your girl gang, your brunch babes, your beach buddies, whatever you want to call them. You love them, but sometimes standing next to them, you just feel like a giant. Just uncomfortable and awkward in your body. And it's not their fault, it's not even really about them, but how you feel in your body when you're out at a party next to them and the guy hits on them, or you go shopping and you just can't wear the same clothes that they wear. Or you're at the beach trying to take cute pictures and that pose that they're doing looks incredible, but when you do it, you just do not look the same. It's not something wrong with your body or with them as a friend, but it is something within ourselves that you need to heal. Because feeling this way when you're standing next to the people that you love the most doesn't help your relationship with them or your relationship with yourself and your body. It's just that your entire life you've been taught that you should want to be smaller, that you should be smaller already, that if you're not smaller, then it's because you're not doing enough, you're not working out hard enough, you must be eating too much or doing something else wrong. Even though your genetics and your bone structure and your needs for sufficient calories are screaming at you otherwise. That's just not what's meant for you. But how are you supposed to just be okay with it and make your peace with your body when you also have to listen to these people that you love so much making negative comments about themselves? It starts to make our relationships really complicated because it's so hard not to be frustrated or upset when these people that we want to look like are so unsatisfied with themselves. It's so hard not to think, well, if I looked like you, I would be grateful, I would be happy. I'm Sarah Simpson, I'm a professional body image coach, and I work with my clients through these social struggles all the time. The work that I aim to do with my clients is to help you prioritize things like rest and self-care and anxiety management and mental health so that you can know that you're approaching your nutrition, your fitness, and your overall well-being from every angle and from a place of self-love. And a big thing that comes up with a lot of my clients is how to navigate when people around you are body shaming themselves or making negative comments about your body that's bigger than theirs, how to avoid that comparison, and how to not let it all bubble out and boil over into a big blow-up argument that damages a friendship. So today we're going to talk about exactly the steps that you need to take both within yourself and with this other person so that you can have the strongest relationships possible, both with your own body and with them. I'm gonna be honest with you, sometimes my clients get frustrated at me when we have this conversation because of what I'm about to say. When someone else is body shaming themselves or people in bigger bodies in front of you or to you, it is a problem with their behavior, but how we respond to it can also reveal problems in our own behavior or mindset too. It's not only one person's fault when we're having these difficult experiences, and a lot of times we have to take responsibility for our own actions too. Now, the number one way that this manifests in my clients is when we struggle to remember that a lot of these people that we're experiencing have body image issues of their own. It doesn't make their behavior excusable or okay in the slightest, but we do have to remember that just because somebody who has a body that we want or physical features that we wish we had doesn't mean that they can't experience insecurity or body image issues too. Now, of course, this is very different from experiencing fat phobia when you're in a bigger body. Experiencing fat phobia in day-to-day life is the assumption that you're not as intelligent or healthy or capable or beautiful just because of what you look like. And that is something that not everybody experiences. So we do need the people that we hold close to us to be able to understand that if we're in a bigger body than them, some of our life experiences are going to be different. And there are going to be things that they just can't understand. But the other side of that is understanding that everybody can have body image issues, and many people do. Men, women, young, old, skinny, plus size, everything in between. We can all struggle to feel insecure in what we look like and who we are. And that is something that a lot of times when we're comparing ourselves, we tend to romanticize out and forget that these people might be feeling that too. We think, well, they have the perfect body, or they have all the time in the world to exercise, or they can afford to eat so nutritiously. What could they possibly be insecure about? And this divides us from the people that we love instead of giving us the opportunity to recognize, hey, we both have insecurities in our body, even if they're different, even if our experiences are different, this is something that we can relate to each other on. So the first thing we have to do when we want to respond to the negative body talk and really work through always feeling like the bigger friend in the friend group or in the room is to understand that even if we are in a physically bigger body or we feel body insecure, that there might be other people in the room that are feeling the same way. And because they're feeling the same way, This opens up the conversation that we can have with this person to strengthen our relationship and talk about how they talk about their body or food or movement or other people. Now, one of the things that I hear from so many of my clients is that when other people who we compare ourselves to talk badly about their body, we get so frustrated. We can get angry, we can get upset, and then being upset with this person that we love also makes us feel guilty because we don't want to feel that way about somebody that we care about. We don't want to be angry or frustrated at them. And the best way to release those negative emotions, to not have them bubble over into a big friendship blowout, is to set boundaries. Boundaries are one of those things that so many people talk about and say, oh, you've got to implement boundaries, but not many people teach you how to do it. And that really is what I value in my client work, is giving you actionable steps and clear-cut pathways to actually make changes in areas like this. When you set a boundary, there are a couple essential steps that you need to go through so that you communicate with this person as best possible how you're feeling and have a productive conversation. First things first, you need to acknowledge that when we set boundaries, it's not with the intention to make someone think the way we think or prove to them that we're right. The goal of the boundary can't even be to change that person's behavior or thinking, because we simply can't control how other people act. The goal of the boundary has to be setting the boundary for your benefit and hoping that person is able to understand you and follow suit with time. But if you go into the boundary setting expecting a certain outcome, you'll often leave even more frustrated than when you started. Before you even enter the conversation with this other person, you need to ask yourself, what boundary is missing here? Sometimes we don't actually get super clear on why we're frustrated. We just know that we are. And so when we go to talk about it with another person, it doesn't come out the way that we wanted. So if you need to write this out, write it in a note in your phone, in a journal, or just really pause the video and ask yourself, what boundary is missing here? Is it around body talk? Is it around conversations about food? Is it around gossiping about other people's choices? What boundary is missing here? Next, you're going to communicate the boundary to another person. So for example, if you have a friend who always talks negatively about their own body when you're getting ready to go out, we might have this conversation proactively. You're going to want to have this conversation really making the boundary about yourself in a way that makes it so that the person is able to receive what you're saying and doesn't feel attacked. If you come at a person and you say, when you talk this way, it makes me feel this way and it makes me feel terrible and I'm angry at how you do things, it's not really going to get your message across. People tend to shut down when they feel like they're being attacked. If you communicate the boundary and say something like, when you speak this way about your body, it makes me struggle with my body image, or it makes me feel this way. I really struggle to accept myself. I'm struggling with my body image already. I want to love myself better. When we really bring that focus to ourselves, that's what allows people to really see things through our eyes. So define your boundary within yourself first, and then communicate it using I statements and not in the heat of the moment. The next step in setting an effective boundary is setting consequences. When we set consequences, it's not ultimatums, it's not charged with anger or frustration, it's just making it clear to the other person what the consequences of them continuing this habit or these behaviors might be if they're not able to honor your boundary. So for example, if we go back to our getting ready to go out with your best friend example, and we say, when you talk negatively about your body as we're getting ready to go out, it makes it really hard for me to feel confident in what I'm wearing. The consequences portion of this might be, if we keep having such negative body talk in our conversations, I don't think that I'm going to be able to spend as much quality time with you as I like. See how that comes from a place of love, but it also makes clear that things might change if this boundary isn't honored. Setting consequences should not feel like you're threatening someone. It should just make it clear that you're serious about what you have to say. After you've set your consequence, you really want to reaffirm to the person why the relationship is valuable to you. Quality time with you is so important to me because, and really reaffirm why this person is important to you. And once we've done all of that, we have to be patient. Now, this is the hardest part, but we have to remember that when we're setting a boundary, we're basically teaching someone how to love us better and how we can have a stronger relationship. And when we are teaching something, when someone's learning something, it often takes time for that to stick. You might have to reaffirm this boundary a few times. You might have to remind the person of the boundary. They might not fully understand exactly what you mean by this boundary, so showing them how it shows up in life, in connections with them, is actually going to help them learn it better. I will say that again, we can't control how people respond to our boundaries, so if someone is very negative, is not receptive, gets upset with you when you set boundaries, that in itself tells you that this might not be the best person to spend so much time with. Ideally, we're able to surround ourselves with people who are able to support our endeavors, ourselves, and our body image in the long run. And so how someone responds to your boundary tells you a lot about how this friendship can or can't serve you and your needs. But overall, when we set boundaries, we really do it for our benefit and to strengthen a relationship, and we recognize that we can't control how other people are going to respond. We can just control how we show up in that relationship. Body image struggles and insecurity is something that we can all experience, and what's really essential here is identifying who in your life is able to be receptive to learning about your experiences and meeting you halfway, and being able to do the same thing for those people as well. Because this is such a big topic and there's so much more that I want to be able to say about feeling like the bigger friend or being in a bigger body and having smaller friends, around setting boundaries with friends and family, this is something that I teach all of my clients in depth. The reason that I know it's so essential to having positive body image is because it's a conversation that comes up again and again and again with my clients. Whether it's in our private one-on-one coaching or our group programs that I run. If you're watching this video and thinking, sounds nice, but I have no idea how I'm actually going to implement that in my life without this person blowing up on me or me blowing up at them, you might be the perfect person to join my next group program. I'm running cohorts in November and December this year, and I would love to hear from you if you think that this might be the right next step for you. We're not just covering boundary setting or body image, we're also covering realistic approaches to nutrition and fitness and relationships and confidence overall. I'm going to make sure to put the link to that group program in the description of this video, as well as my email if you want to reach out to me directly. And as always, if you want to see more of these videos, more of this content about just feeling confident in your body and who you are, make sure that you subscribe to this. And you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I post a lot of content about these things there as well. Body image and confidence is a journey, but it doesn't have to be a solo one. And I hope to see you again soon.